So I'm going to show you how I made £1,063 in just one race by match betting at the Cheltenham Festival. Now, not only did I make just over £1,000 in about 30 minutes work, I also essentially had a £2,200 free bet on this race, where in the worst possible case scenario I would have actually made a profit of £180. So the worst case scenario I would have net £180, and the best case scenario I would have made a profit of about £2,200. So this was a very, very good position to be in, as you can probably tell, and it shows exactly why when you're match betting you just have such a big, massive edge over the bookmaker, which you can use to pull out some really nice profit. Now, the strategy I use for this is a very aggressive extra place strategy, and because it's so aggressive it can result in some pretty quick gubbins from the bookmakers. So because of that, you really need to understand how to manage your accounts and not make it super risky, so you're going to get your accounts closed down almost instantly when you implement this strategy. So this is the race that I targeted with this strategy. There were loads of races at Cheltenham where this criteria was applicable. This was one of them. This was a really good one. And the reason I targeted this race, essentially I'm looking for the bookmaker to be going over broke within the place market. So as you can see in this race, Sky Bet were paying out on 6 places. Now, not only were Sky Bet paying out on 6 places, but Bet365 were also doing the same thing, and they were paying out on 6 places as well. So I didn't need to place all my bets on just one bookmaker account. I could spread them out across both my accounts. Now, this is really good when you look at the standard that they would pay out on. So with this kind of a race type with this amount of runners, standard would be about 4 places. But because this is a high profile race, there's a lot of interest in it. Sky Bet's boosted the amount of places they're paying out on to 6 places, offering 2 extra places between the standard 4 and the now 6. So essentially, because I've found the correct criteria that I'm looking for when I'm looking to implement this strategy, I've worked out the correct stakes that I need to use each way on all the different horses to make this position advantageous for me and to make my downside negligible and almost non-existent, whereas my upside will be absolutely massive if the right horses land within the right positions within the race. Now, of course, the bookmaker is stating if any more horses pull out of this race, if there's any more non-runners, they could potentially move the amount of places they're paying out on down a notch. So currently they're paying out on 6. If we get a non-runner, they're saying they could move it down to 5 places. Now, because I'm pretty familiar with this strategy and I've built up quite a little bit of experience now doing the Dutching each way strategy, I know that if the bookmaker does indeed pull one of their places, I'm still going to be in a pretty advantageous position, and I'm going to have maybe a little bit of a downside, but it's still going to be heavily in my favour from an EV perspective. And I also know we get maybe like 1 non-runner or 2 non-runners. The bookmaker doesn't really want to upset their loyal fan base. They generally won't really pull that position unless they really have to. So to do this, I grabbed this really amazing each way Dutching spreadsheet you can use on OddsMonkey. It's the Susie Beth each way Dutching sheet. I've used it quite a lot, and it's an amazing spreadsheet if you do want to stick it to the bookmakers. Now, if you do want to try OddsMonkey and get a completely free trial, check out my link down below in the description and you can check it out completely free. As I said, I've used this product for quite a few years now, and it's helped me make thousands and thousands of pounds off the bookmakers by using match betting. So the link to check it out is down below in the description, and you can try it completely free without putting any card details in or anything like that. Anyway, I started by quickly popping in all the horses' names into the spreadsheet that I got from OddsMonkey. I then entered each of the horses' prices into the spreadsheet along with the number of places that the bookmaker was paying out on and the fractional place terms that the bookmaker was paying out on as well. I've then worked out the exact each way stakes that I needed to use on every single horse to ensure that my risk and my downside is next to nothing and my upside is much larger than that, which essentially makes this a completely risk-free bet. So as you can see, I'm prepared to invest £3,145 of my own money into this Dutch with a bookmaker for up to a 38.73% return on investment, or in monetary terms up to £1,218 of overall profit, which I actually have the opportunity to make even larger, which I take advantage of, which I'll show you how I do it in just a minute. So I then start placing my bets on my bookmaker account using the exact stakes that I've worked out to ensure my risk is at an absolute minimum in the worst case scenario. Now, when you do use this strategy, prices are going to be moving around all over the place. You're going to have prices what are coming in, horses what are drifting out. The book value is going to be changing all the time. The prices across the market are going to be changing. So it is important to understand exactly how the bookmakers market works from that perspective, and to be able to be flexible and be able to adapt to these situations when you had a good price and now the price is moved against you. Now I can appreciate this might sound a little bit difficult to get your head around fully in just, in just a short YouTube video like this. So what I'm going to do over the next few weeks and few months is put together quite a lot of content which explains exactly how you can do this strategy. Now this kind of stuff is going to be for people who really want to take advantage of match betting. They're after the big profits, they want to take the big races. There's a few races each month where this criteria falls into place. I'm going to be making content for those kind of people who want to hit match betting as hard as they possibly can. So keep your eyes out for that content cropping up. So anyway, I started covering the field, getting on runner after runner after runner, using the each way stakes that I'd worked out. And then when I got to the 7th runner, the bookie dished out a nice chunk of value by changing their price on a runner. So the initial price was 50 to 1, and then they changed the price to 66 to 1 as I was going to place my each way bet, which gave me a huge bump on my maximum upside. So I continued ploughing my way through the field, getting on one horse after the other horse after the other horse. Prices continued to fluctuate, so some prices would come in, then some prices would drift out. The book value would change around all the time, so I was very flexible, willing to adapt, willing to change my stakes and trying to keep on top of everything to make sure my downside was very, very small. And if possible, having no downside whatsoever and actually having a small profit in the worst case scenario. And then I got to the end of covering all the horses and encountered a non-runner. Now this non-runner was called Fancy Foundations, and this had actually occurred, so this horse had become a non-runner as I was actually covering the field. Now because this is a non-runner, I then removed it from my sheet because obviously there's no chance that this horse can win the race, and there's also no chance it can land in a place because it's obviously not running. And as it was holding about 4.5% of the overall book, this actually increased my maximum downside to become even more profitable than it already was. And it obviously did the same to my maximum upside as well and made that even more profitable as well. Now as Sky didn't pull the 6th place as I expected they wouldn't do, this gave me a completely risk-free shot at this race, a completely non-fixed free bet essentially. I could have had a profit of £180 all the way up to a profit of £2,200. So as I said earlier, a very, very good position to be in if you're looking to smash the bookmakers and make some profit. Now as you can see on my spreadsheet, as a result of the way in which I weighted my each way stakes across the overall book, my best case scenario was this on the right hand side for £2,200, and my worst case scenario was this right here for 180 quid. Now after doing that, it was time to sit back, relax and watch the race and see which horses finished in which positions and how much profit I was going to make from the race. Now to hit the big £2,200 profit or whatever it was, I needed the Gordon Elliott runner herd line to win. Now I got this at a price of about 67 with a bookmaker, so I wasn't holding my breath. I think 67 represents about 1 or 1.5% chance. Obviously you've got the margin with the bookmaker, but it's going to be a long shot to say the very least. And that horse actually didn't even finish the race as well. So as you can tell, we wasn't going to hit that £2,200 profit. So I sat back, relaxed and watched the race and found that Cool Cody ended up winning the race. Now Cool Cody was actually a pretty good horse for me to win the race, and it was actually ranked about 6. 6 out of 16 is pretty good, and it wasn't a favourite. Now the next bit is always the most painful when you're doing these each way Dutches, especially when you've got a big field, because it takes quite a long time to kick into action. But essentially you're waiting on the result. Essentially you're waiting on which horses finished in which positions and how much profit you're going to make from your match betting. So when the results were in, I used this website right here to determine which runners finished in which positions and how much profit I was going to make. I entered the runners in order of the positions that they'd finished in within the race in this results box here. Starting of course with Cool Cody, who won the race, and of course he placed. Next up was the runner-up Imperial Alcazar, and then Spirit of Games finished in 3rd place, so I put him in next. Now each time I did this, I was continually glancing over at this box right here, my actual outcome box, to view how much profit I was currently at, and as you can see, I'm currently down 120 quid. But this isn't a problem whatsoever because I still have 3 more places to go. And of course, as I touched on before, I cannot lose any money here. This is completely risk-free. There's no risk to doing this. Then Stolen Silver, who finished in 4th place. Celebrate de Alun in 5th, however you say that. And then finally, Slate House, who finished in 6th position. Now as you can see, my overall profit from doing this was £1,063. £1,063 for just 30 minutes work, match betting on 1 race at the Cheltenham Festival. Very, very impressive, and it was actually about a 35.5% ROI, so a 35.5% return on the stake that I'd used to get on this race. And just to illustrate that to you a little bit clearer, as you can see, I invested £2,995, which is shown here in red, and the final result was a return from the bookmaker of £4,058. Now the difference between these two numbers is of course £1,063. So next up, you really need to check out the video I'm popping up on screen now, which will show you exactly how I take advantage of Bet365's 2-up offer and earn about £1,000 each and every month from using that offer. Cheers guys, I'll see you in the next one.